Okay, looks like everything's working. Just had to deal with a minor frame drop there, but I think everything is working. So, good evening, ladies, gentlemen, and Xenos of all ages to another Tactica Imperialis live stream. I apologise again for Sunday's stream. I've not actually published the VOD because it wasn't really worth putting out. We didn't really talk about all that much and all of that stuff. It just got really, really short. So, hopefully I'm going to make up for that this evening. I'm going to have a decent couple of hours. I'm going to finish off my Paladin squad and by extension get my Stormcast army to a nice round 4,000 points by the end of the stream. That's the sort of the plan, because the news this week has gone rather quiet. With the Drakari now on their way and the Ideneth not here yet, there seems to be a bit of a lull in what's going on. So there's something coming for Forge World Necromunda, there's a couple of new bits coming for Shadespire, but in terms of big releases, we're actually on a bit of a quiet week, which I'm not complaining about, but it's just something to note, I suppose, are having a bit of a quieter time in terms of news, but that's okay. So yeah, if everything's working fine, which it looks like it is on my end, we'll go for a bit and see how it goes. So yeah, I don't really know what more to say as an introduction. Good evening. Yeah, Town Club podcast is out tomorrow, by the way, before anybody asks who is here. I don't know if the podcast will be out on the channel tomorrow. And we've got, we had Town Club Malice this week, part 11 for that. And I've got a nice little video that I've prepared for Monday, another My Thoughts On. It's actually a video I made kind of on a whim, but I'm really quite happy I made it because I think it was one of my better rambles, considering I can go off on some rather random tangents. Because My Thoughts On is sort of a really weird series. It's like part discussion, part news, part review type thing, but then it's also just me rambling on a given topic, and this My Thoughts On is much more on the ramble side, but it's also a good discussion, so I really hope you guys enjoy that one when it comes out next week. I just finished painting my homebrew Blood Wolves. Okay, that sounds interesting. I'm not sure quite what that corresponds to. Like, the first thing it makes me think of is a Khorne Warband of Chaos Space Marines, but I wouldn't want to be absolutely 100%. Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. I can't do the Stephen Fry thing. Cannot do the Stephen Fry QI. Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. I can't do it. He's too fast for it. Just hit nudge gash, starts painting this evening. Oof. So the results of the games today of the new version are still really good. These tiles missing off the roof had a leak and I had them built. Ouch. Not quite sure what that corresponds to, but ouch, that doesn't sound pleasant. Nagash is going to be quite the painting project, I can guess. That's probably going to be... Oh, actually, I said I was going to need a set. That... Oh. Yeah, it all seems good now, yeah. For some reason the output rate just went to 0 for a few seconds, and I don't know why, but it is back now on my end, so hopefully it will stay back, because I could do without any more faff. There are Loyalist mashup of Blood Angels and Space Wolves. Okay, that's intriguing. I'll confess, that's intriguing. Ah, right, okay. Something from chat. Makes sense. Dropped a random second of frames again. I'm really hoping there aren't going to be any major technical hitches and it's just teething problems. Yeah, I would have offered to dive into the news, but there's not really much to discuss, and as much as I haven't posted the VOD, I did talk about the Drakari last time out before I went off, so not sure if it's Blood Rage or Wolfen as the floor or both. I mean, you can hybridize the two, but the problem with well, I don't know what the actual fluff behind that is, but like, I don't know, but up to you, honestly, how you approach that. How long until we see the Deepkin? I would wager that we'll get the Ideneth, if not next week, then the week after, because they've already started to build toward the Ideneth in the Malign Portent stories. So they're already discussing the Ideneth and how they operate in those stories. So I don't think it's going to be any more than 2 weeks until we get the preview. So either this time next week or this time in 2 weeks, I think we'll be getting ready for the pre-orders. I'm not sure if it will be the next week or it will be the week after, but that's my guess. Anyone starting sniping with their 50th live podcast? I mean, I'll be there. I'll attempt to be there to watch, but I don't know if they're hosting it like open. I can't remember quite if they're doing it as an open door chat that people can just dive into, like we did with Podcasters, where we just opened it up and said, any of our past guests in the Skype chat, just feel free to join. We didn't. I don't know if they're doing it the same way. From the Cursed Founding, that makes sense. Like, if you're going to do something funky with Gene Seed, the Cursed Founding is the best place to do it. I'm just making random tunes. God, I love painting ghosts. Oh, the Spirit Host. Yeah, I could never play Spirit Host. Just, I bet they're like super easy if you can get a scheme that you're happy with. It's just getting a scheme that you're happy with, I suppose. Have you looked at the aftermath of the Malign Portent's global campaign? Dread Solstice. Yeah, I did. I had a look at the Dread Solstice lore. It's kind of not gone over so well with everybody, because at the whole old heroes returning thing, some people are like, nope, this game needs to stand on its own 2 feet, and it can't be propped up by the heroes of yore. And I kind of agree with that. So if they implement them as sort of like saying, oh, they're back in spirit, and so there's a lot of them have been forged into Stormcast or something like that. That's one thing. They've just got to be careful how they handle that. particularly if they're going to introduce them to the lore but particularly to lore. They've just got to be careful how they handle it. Have you ever played against or with Nagash or etc.? I've played against Archaon and I one-shotted him. But I haven't played against Alariel or the Celestin Prime or anything of that, or a Nagash or a Marathi. No. So Archaon is the biggest thing I've played up against, and I one-shotted him. How many worlds are in the Imperium? A lot. There's a phrase from the back of an old white dwarf. It was just before Planetary Empires came out, all the way back in 5th edition. And it was a quote from an Imperial something or other. And he said, "Fear us, for we count our lives in planets, not men." So they must have, I want to say millions of worlds. It's hard to get a read of an exact number. Space Wolves rule, but that's just me. Yeah, that's just you. I disagree, but then I'm a Thousand Suns fan, so I'm kind of morally obligated by my allegiance. Oh no. Okay, minor frame drop. One shot Archaon. Yeah, this was back in the days of old Dark Elves. So what I did was I comboed a Cauldron of Blood with Executioners. I gave them as many buffs as I could. And basically just threw 15 Executioners at Archaon. And every 6 was just 2 mortal wounds. So he just fell over. And then, because this was also the days before the General's Handbook, he got resurrected immediately by Savage Dominion. Because Savage Dominion and summoning was balanced back then. Low estimate of planets in the Milky Way is 100 billion, but attention on that for human controlled. Yeah, exactly. Even if the Imperium controlled 1% of all planets in the galaxy, that's still 1 billion. If you do it that way. Just getting random instances where I'm dropping like 2 seconds of frames. It's not common, but it's enough to be irksome. What would happen if the Orcs got their I don't know Star Trek at all, so I'm afraid I can't really answer that. I'm kind of not up on my Trekkiness. Picking up Arjack Rockford as my chapter master and Lord of the Hunt. Rockford is good, is alright rules wise. I don't know if I like his model enough that I'd consider him as the model for my homebrew chapter master. I don't know. Being eyeing the Dark Elf Sorceress at local store for conversion. If for a Slaneshi army, yeah, that makes sense. The Dark Elf Sorceress, I've got one. It's a pretty decent mini, to be fair. It's not the hardest thing in the world to convert. I doubt it's the easiest, but certainly not the hardest. That done? Yep, that's done. Use 40k and totally absorb the lore. Would love to get into the actual game. Initially drawn to Admech. Would they be a good starting army? If not, any suggestions? I have very little experience with Admech. From what I can gather, they're probably quite... I don't know if they're the most new player friendly things ever. They do have a good starter set because they have Forgebane and they have a start collecting as well. They have a decent range of options available through Skitari, the Cataphren, the Castellan, and the Questor Mechanicus. However, I don't think that gameplay-wise, they're the easiest army to pick up. The easiest armies to pick up are probably Space Marines of most stripes, although probably vanilla. And Orcs are usually a pretty easy one to pick up and play, as are Chaos to some extent, although you can get drowned in options with Chaos very, very quickly. But if you're doing it for lore reasons, then just go with your heart and go with your lore gut and say, I want an Admech army because Admech's cool, so I'm going to play Admech. You might have a bit of a steeper learning curve than some people, but go for it. If you don't mind painting a lot of metal and stuff like that, and quite like, you've got I've actually got a video coming out on Monday where I go over army selection, like how I go about selecting, trying to advise you on how they can select a project. And lore is probably about 1/3 of that discussion. The other 2/3 being rules and being models. So if the rules, obviously, if you're new to the game, you might not be so fussed knowing. I don't know so much about the rules, but if the models take you and the lore takes you, and you don't mind learning the rules or are willing to look at it ahead of time and ask some people at your local store, go for it. I love this Thought Queen / Death Hag, and if Rain was sold separately, would convert the heck out of those. Yeah. It would be nice to get the individual stuff, but then you wouldn't be so enamored to buy the Cauldron of Blood at that point. Like, the Cauldron of Blood at this point is an incredible value kit, because it's potentially 3 heroes. It's 3 heroes, 2 of which are priests and 1 of whom is a caster. And potentially you've also got a totem unit in the Avatar of Cain, which you can either do separately, or if you build a cauldron, just on the cauldron. Cauldron of Blood is like one of the most amazing value kits for Daughters of Cain. Nothing much is up if I'm being 100% honest and just doing some painting. But I appreciate the effort. Need more Daka for the boys. We do need an alt codex that gives them more Daka, yes. Well, we just need a new alt codex. Your thoughts on the Necromunda Insecticon? I haven't looked into it all that hard, in all honesty. It's cool that it exists. It's cool that it exists. I'll say that. In Necron Dynasty, there are 2 moon-sized battles. The V-Move and the River Sleep and now work as their base. Huh, well. I suppose if the Orcs can do it, the Necrons can do it. True, the Covenant is great value. Use almost all of the conversion, but the Inari kit, the 2 other ones. Yeah, they've just started selling some of the Imperial Triumvirate separately. So like Call is separate, and Guilliman and Celestine, they're going separate. So I think the Triumvirate of Iniad might... they might keep the Triumvirate of Iniad together because they're all the fundamental building blocks of a unique Ynnari army. I don't know. What's going on in the lore right now? You'll be really need to be more specific because I pay attention to the lore of 2 game systems for a start. And also, is there any particular faction that you want or event that you want to draw attention to? Because that's a very, very broad question. 100 Worlds refers to Ultramar. It refers to the Ultramar Empire, which was the 500 Worlds. The 500 Worlds referred to the Ultramar Empire, I believe. I've not been with the ear in the ground that much beyond the future of the Party Sisters. What's all this about the Deacon and AOS? You know, they're not actually mer people at all. At least they don't have the look of them. The Adnet Deepkin are a race of Soul Stealer raiding elves who have 3 sort of castes. You've got the main warriors, you've got the rulers, the warrior rulers, and then the magic users, the sorcerers, whatever you call them, or whatever you prefer to call them. I forget their names. It's in the White Dwarf preview, and they are looking really, really fun. So they've got eel and shark cavalry. They've got turtle war machines. Or maybe shrines, I'm not sure. The name Mathlan, which is the elven god of the sea, has been name dropped. So that's an Easter egg for people. What else is there that's involved with them? Their heroes are just the most amazing looking things ever. Some of them ride enchanted tidal waves. Some of them ride like giant kraken seahorse things that people have been saying is a sort of hippocampus, but also not quite. There's a guy with a scroll and an octopus with a knife. They're a really fascinating faction. They really, really are. Tau. Alright. The Tau 4th sphere was launched sometime after the 3rd because the Damocles Gulf was literally set on fire. They developed some sort of technology. I forget exactly how because I was reading it in French in a rush. But it kind of backfired. In the 4th sphere, there was just a lot of screaming and it all kind of went belly up. However, not to be deterred, Tau were able to find the 4th sphere, which had ended up going through a wormhole to the north of the Tau Empire, into a new region through a place that the Tau now call the Startide Nexus. And the Tau have been pushing out from said Nexus to continue the expansion of the greater good there. And generally everything else is pretty much as you were. Aunvar is dead and conserved as a hologram because he died in the Damocles Gulf. He died on Agralan. Shadowstone and Farsight actually don't get on still. Farsight's been back to Arthas Moloch. The 4th sphere had a lot of defectors to Farsight because they, I'm not going to say they went insane, but they certainly don't always do things that the Tau as a normal faction would agree with, and so on and so forth. So it's quite interesting if you have the time to dig around in it. The name that was dropped was Mathlan, the old elven god of the sea. I think it's more of a fantasy reference than anything else. I know the name Mathan, but I don't know it well enough. What have the World Eaters been up to? I'm not actually sure on that one. I know that there was a massive Khornate invasion of Armageddon with an attempt to summon Angron, but that was repulsed, or at least the ritual was stopped. As for the World Eaters in general, I'm not sure. Necron book is a lovely misprint. Back of the book states Lich Guard and Death Marks as troop data slates, says Elites. Go with the data slate, I'm afraid. If you went back to the past and get to write for Jimmy, which powers to fall to chaos, would you keep it the same? I'm not good enough as a writer to try and change it. Like, there'd be so many ramifications for the next 10,000 years of plot that I wouldn't be capable of working it all out. So it's probably best I don't try. Late, but the returning heroes of the past will not be usable outside of narrative and open play. That is correct. They'll not be showing up in lore just if you want to show them because #warp did it. Okay, good, because that was the thing after Dread Solstice, that with the whole old heroes returning thing, some people were a bit nervous about the phrasing of that. So as long as they stay out of the plot and are just there for lulz, really, then that's absolutely fine. Bromlays, I write Merlot. I'm guessing that's supposed to be Malal. I should just basically get the whole thing and then go over it. Yeah, just easier than trying to paint around it and missing bits because you're trying to be careful. There's I just want the twins. The twins being Tyrion and Teclis, right? At least I go straight to Tyrion and Teclis because that's what Malekith and Marathi and Malerian call them now. They're just the twins, Tyrion and Teclis. Did Demon Products have materialize with streams of warp energy? Like demons? I'm not 100% on the details of manifestation. Let's get back into fantasy. I stopped when AI was released. The rules are confusing. The war scrolls are free, but there's part of the rules in the General's book and the battle terms. Is that right? Kinda. So the basic rules of how to play the game are available for free, and they're available all over the place. They're in the back of every battle tome. They are in the General's handbook. They are in almost everywhere. You'll always get the rules for free wherever. As for additional rules, the General's handbook is your pickup, because that will give you a bit of balance. It'll give you points costs, force organization to an extent. You'll basically want your General's Handbook is kind of like the expansion on the rule. It's like the rule book. They're not the rules, they're an expansion on the rules, but they're basically the rule book that everybody needs to play, match play. You'll then need your army's battle tome. That generally just comes with it's like a codex. So it comes with all the usual things, and then it also comes with a couple of special missions that you can do, special battle plans, but they're completely optional and generally not well balanced. They are the only twins. Good enough. I just want to make sure my fantasy knowledge isn't quite good enough to make me think, is there another set of twins? Maybe human or dwarven that I've missed. So going back to the question, to play AOS you need a battle tome and nothing else. You need a battle tome and an army. If you don't have an army with a battle tome, then you just need the AOS app, which is completely free. This will give you all the war scrolls for your army, although it won't give you battalions, which are your formations. Love to point about religion of the early Dark Mechanicum. Which Chaos God do you think would appeal to the most or could pretend to be the machine god? Tzeentch is the most logical. Oh. Come on. Okay, that's just... getting some slightly bad lag. Okay, seems to be back now. Tzeentch is the most obvious, although... yeah, it's got to be Tzeentch. Tzeentch is most probable, though I think in some ways the Slanesh or Nurgle could make it work, but very unlikely. We need Ever-Chosen Demons back. Bella being the only one, and Ever-Chosen Codex and Battle Tome. They have a Battle Tome, don't they? The Ever-Chosen in AOS have a Battle Tome, do they not? How can you paint on the sprue? Quite easily, actually. I put some paint on my brush, and then I put the paint on the model. I jest. It's just like sometimes with components, I just find it easier to paint them on the sprue, because then if they're small components, I won't lose them. I don't know if you read Khan Eater of Worlds, and I don't want to have it ruined for everyone. Tell us how Khan came back, and it's very interesting. Have you read it? I haven't, although I vaguely know of Khan's... my god, what is with the bloody upstream rate? So inconsistent right now. I think I roughly know how... oh my god. I roughly know how Khan works, but I don't know it from Khan Eater of Worlds. I sort of just vaguely know from my research generally on the subject. Which... knock it off, Alexis. Oh. Why are we getting such bad lag? What is wrong with the bloody upload rate? The bit rate is just nuts. It just won't hold. Just won't hold. And I don't know why. Sup indeed. The reason Corner's always mad is because he didn't... I really shouldn't have started reading. I should have finished reading that before I read it. The weather's fine though. I don't know what's causing it. I don't know what's causing it, and it's bothering me. It seems to have gone all crazy. You're not the only one. My bloody bitrate has gone to nuts. Since the Emperor is a bottling body, that means that Nurgle has a power in and on Terra. Why are you so terrible, bitrate? Okay, I'm going to go to a quick break, probably stop and restart. Might just reconnect the Wi-Fi as well. And that way I can do as near to a hard reset as possible. So we might just go offline for 30 to 60 seconds here. So I'm going to try and get this fixed. Alright, I'm hoping that the old non-concussive turn it off and on again maintenance has worked. I'm hoping so, anyway. I suppose the machine spirit is being a little bit cranky. Not really used it all that much. I mean, I've been writing a script, but that doesn't require any internet usage at all. Crap one, no one rules for an army, can't stand on its own. Yeah, I sympathise with that for Ever Chosen. If that's the case, if you're that's in reference to Ever Chosen, I can sort of get that. Well, to be fair, the Wi-Fi usage would be no higher than usual for your average Tuesday night, because it's a hall of residence with its own Wi-Fi. It's the same amount of people on it all the time. And now I've got hiccups. That's just stellar. That's just absolutely stellar. Sad times. But at least I think I've got that fixed, so that's the main thing. Yes, you have introduced Alexis to a meme, and thus it has been ruined forever. Tell me I'm... I was going to say, tell me I'm wrong, but then you did. Finished 9th Lord of Change. Nice. Symbolic round numbers. Or just symbolic numbers. How do you deal with mold lines that you paint on sprue? I kind of don't. Like, when it comes to a component where the sprue's in the way, I'll take it off and clean it up at that point. So like the section here, or the shoulder pad, the bit that's just there is just... this bit here is not covered by the sprue, so I can just paint that bit on the frame so I don't lose it. But when it comes that I have to paint a section that is blocked, then I'll take it off and paint it then. Khorne is the most powerful at the moment. It's cyclical. So Tzeentch was the most powerful, then he had to break his staff. And at the moment, Khorne is the most powerful. It's not a foolproof method, and generally I've got into the habit of basically just doing sub-assemblies. It's like I'll build as much as I can in one go, and then everything else I'll paint separately and attach later. It's the sub-assembly method. Ish. Does anyone keep tabs on the Inquisition? Yeah, it's called the Inquisition. The Order Hereticus is, and I think it's the Order Malleus, sort of the organisation within the Inquisition who monitor the Inquisition to make sure it's still doing the right thing. Yeah, I think it's the Order Malleus. I remember mentioning it in my lore video on the Inquisition, but that was like 18 months ago, so I can't remember all the details. Why do people bleep on Lorgar? It seems like he's more Erebus than him? Do you think Lorgar will be coming back? Lorgar returning, I think, is low priority, but not impossible. As for why people donk on him, I just don't find his character relatable or likable in practically any way. I did a video of my top 5 least favourite Primarchs last year, where I laid out why I dislike Lorgar, and as much as that Erebus and Corferan are worse as are probably better as characters, but worse in terms of personalities and their effect on the story and all that stuff. I can't find it in myself to relate to Lorgar as much as you're maybe supposed to because of the treatment he got at the hands of Corferan and the Emperor. Remember the answer to when did you get into the hobby? I started pretty much as when 5th edition came out. So I bought, the first White Dwarf I ever bought was the White Dwarf where 5th edition was announced. It was July 2008. Yeah, it was July 2008 because it was the year of my dad's transplant. And that's 10 years this year. So I've been in this hobby for basically 10 years. You think Slanesh is the most powerful swan in so many highly psychic souls? Yeah, but that was like one race 10,000 years ago, and that was it sort of get it going. The others feed on the emotions of all the species as well. It's not, yeah, it's just not the same. Because every warrior soul who dies is sent to Khorne. Bear that in mind. Every warrior who dies goes to Khorne. That's a lot more than just one species. Since everything can be manifested, does that mean that they can put all around the world and dominate it? If they wanted to, then maybe, but I don't know the Seraphon's lore well enough to know if that's something the Slann would want to do. I've not really looked into the Seraphon lore-wise. I will be 100% frank. Started at a high point. Yeah, I feel like I did drop on a good edition, because a lot of people like 5th. As a bit of all the other Chaos Gods seem to be afraid of Slanesh because they have obsessions that he can feed on, I guess. Yeah, that's an interesting point, that Slanesh has sort of got that over the other gods in some way. But then every time they make a plan, Tzeentch can work off that. Every time they get angry, Khorne can work off that. So it is sort of cyclical. It affects them all. Started 5th, though I did play 2 games in 3rd. 6th and 7th happened. Yeah, 6th edition was... I got into YouTube during 6th edition. I got into YouTube during 6th edition. And then the channel's seen me... I've been on YouTube just slightly longer than 7th edition was around. Because I remember reporting on the 7th edition rumours at the time that they were happening. But yeah, 6th and 7th... I'm not going to say they were... Well, 7th maybe was... 6th is probably worse, but yeah. I can paint and run a live Q&A. I've been doing this now. I've been streaming for over a year, so I've kind of, well, it's more like 18. I basically, since I got this new PC, which was in September last year, I've been trying to stream, and I've upgraded it to OBS this year, so I've been able to stream a lot more. And that's basically it. So I've got a lot of practice. It's just basically I've had practice. Remember Hull Points and Flyers becoming a thing? Oh yeah, it was the White Dwarf issue with the Battle of Cardrim, where you raised the Storm Tower and the Dagger Jet and the Doom Scythe. Though the first flyer that wasn't a flyer was the Void Raven and Razorwing were the first flyers, although flyers didn't come into being until a bit later. Grimgor should be brought back. They just waste as a green glowing scar wrapped around his neck. I don't know. I'm kind of like, with the exception of the gods, and also by extension Morathi, because she's so fundamental to how the daughters work. I'm in favour of leaving the old guard dead, and letting the new characters drive this plot. So I'm kind of in favour of leaving the old guard dead and letting the new guns run AOS rather than just have it be, oh, here's some new guys, but really it's all about the old guys all over again. Yay, here, let's just shove fantasy down your throat and say, hey, do you remember this game that some of you believe is superior? Here, have more of the characters from that so you get salty about it. Yeah. Storm Raven was the flyer that came out with the other flyers. It was the Storm Talon that was released alongside the Dakajet and the Doomside. The Storm Raven was a couple of months before with the Blood Angels Codex. Although I think the Razor Wing Jet Fighter was put into the Dark Eldar Codex before both of them. Pert and Magnus versus Dawn and Reboot. Back in day, oh, how far could Magnus's power take you in that fight? Because Perturabo versus Dawn, I think Dawn would win, but Magnus is such a wild card with his power. Like, how do you calculate around that? You just kind of can't. I get why you'd be sympathetic, what you'd want Grimgor back, and like why you'd want some people back. Like, I quite liked I'd like Lockheed Felhart back, or Malus Darkblade. They were awesome characters. Alithanar, Eltharion the Grim were awesome characters, but we need to let the new characters be the driving force of this game, and we can't just rely on nostalgia, because there's going to come a point where there isn't going to be a nostalgia crowd. There's just going to be a new crowd who need to come in, and they need new characters and innovation to engage them. Plus, it will stop people whinging about the fact that they're just constantly talking about fantasy. Miss Skarsnik. Skarsnik was cool. I never got into the Gobos that much back then, but Skarsnik was cool. And that is a really hard name to say quickly. Skarsnik. I can say it, but you've just got to say, sort of work your way through that as a word rather than just rolling off the tongue. With hindsight, who would you make War Master instead of Horus? Sanguinius is probably the only other person who would have been respected enough to take it. The problem is, if you make Sanguinius War Master, it doesn't really change anything, because Horus was charismatic enough to win people round against the Emperor for the most part. So it might not have been like War Master versus Emperor, but you might have still had a Heresy Era scenario, because once they realised they couldn't get Sanguinius, they could just go after Horus anyway, and we get the same scenario just with a different War Master. Have a Malus Darkblade somewhere. I think I put him on a dragon. Nice. Storm Raven was out before the Blood Angel Codex was the first to get it in the Codex. I thought the Plastic Storm Raven came out with the Blood Angels Codex, and then it was put into the Grey Knight Codex not long after. Angron and Kurz versus Guilliman and Sanguinius. Angron beats Guilliman. That happened on New Seria. That happened. But Sanguinius, I think, beats Kurz. So you get an Angron v Sanguinius fight, and I really don't know how to call that. The new biggest boss has not shown up yet. He towered over all the Stormcast in the book he was in and punched out a zombie dragon in 1v1. Once we get him, things will be better. Yeah, like, I thought that was like that. Was that Mordrak? Or am I getting that confused with a Grey Knight? Like, I think there's like some super powerful Iron Jaw boss, isn't there? I could have sworn there was some like super mega powerful Iron Jaw boss. I really, like, now that I'm getting properly engaged in AOS again, I really need to read its lore, like get the battle tomes, just even if it's just reading them on the shelves. I need to have a read of the battle tomes and get caught up on the lore, at least the characters, for crying out loud. I am very much behind on that, I'll admit. Lion's problem, no charisma. Correct. Lion was just not likable. Did you get a chance to get the Plot Library Weekender books? No. The only thing from the Weekender that I think I ever got was the Devastation of Baal. But yeah, no. The art on the first box was Ultramarine, but on the back it's Blood Angel and Grey Knight, because they were out in a few weeks after. I'd have to go back and check all the White Dwarfs to see if that's correct. So I still have all my old White Dwarfs. I had it on subscription for years. But yeah, I'd have to check. This one was a Bone Splitter. That explains it then. Do you believe the Emperor hated Angron and Kurz, and if so, why? I don't know if he hated them. I think that would be too harsh. I don't think he cared very much, if at all. Like, that I could say. But I don't know if I'd say hate. Pedro can break any fortress in the Imperium given time and the correct equipment. He can make a fortress so mighty it broke dawn on its walls. Yeah, he just sits on his butt moping for 10,000 years. Well, not exactly. He did take involved in the 10th Black Crusade and basically solo 2 Space Marine chapters-ish. So he has been around a bit. He's not done absolutely nothing, unlike Lorgar. He has done something. Not much, but something. If Gaz comes back as a Prime Orc. If. Apparently Marines for 11 have a sergeant named Lorcar. Lorcar. I feel like I know that name. I know that name from somewhere. Lorcar. No need to apologise. I could have sworn the Storm Raven was a Blood Angel gimmick for a while. Then the Grey Knights hijacked it, and then everybody got it. We need an Orcs and Goblins battle tone. We do. We do need to get the Goblins back. And more Orc, yeah. Just more destruction would be nice. Death's getting bits and bobs now. But yeah, more destruction would be lovely. I know this is fanfic as hell. Me thinking of a Blood Angel with a World Eater's Nail in his brain plus the Black Rage. Ow. So what's the Salamander novel? I know that I feel like I've heard the name Lorcar before. That's all I'm saying. I feel like I've heard the name. All Space Marine factions got the Storm Talon right off the bat, the little one. The Storm Raven, the big one, was a Blood Angel and then Grey Knight exclusive for a while. Destruction needs another faction like Night Goblins. Yeah. Like foot-mounted ogres, the Aelgars, the Gargants, the Giants, Goblins, Orcs, whatever. It just needs more stuff for destruction. Need like a year of destruction. God, if they called it that. To be honest, like, I think maybe once we get through the Elfin spell, so like at the moment we've just got to get, we've got Ideneth, and then we might even, and then we've got the big purple death ball, and we've probably got the black coach, so there'll be a faction for that. But after that, I do think destruction needs some love badly. Is there even any advantage to Chaos from Cadia other than Cadia itself? Basically, Cadia had a bunch of pylons on it, and those pylons were helping to keep the warp in check. By destroying Cadia, those pylons were destroyed or damaged in turn, which thus allowed the Cicatrix Maledictum to form. In part. So it was more than just Cadia itself, it was its warp stabilization that was the problem. Death 2, if there was only a dead faction that could be exude. Oh, you want a zombie faction. Right, I get you. Well, maybe a Skelly faction, not sure. Why didn't we hear more for the Raven Guard over the Primaris? I'm sure I remember if you remember the Raptors and what happened. No, why would they remember? Like, the only Raven Guard, the only people who remember the Raptors would be like people who've lived for 10,000 years. And that's Korax. Because Gilliman probably didn't even know. I agree, elves are fortified factions that need help in all this elf love, then can go destruction, yeah. Get Daughters of Cain, Ideneth, the Tyrian Teclis elves, the Malerian elves, and then Slanesh. Do Slanesh and finish the set, and then dive into destruction and go absolutely bonkers with them. That's what I would do. Like, so, Ideneth now, and then probably Light Elves in May. Shadow Elves in June and Slanesh in July, and then have maybe one death release and then go destruction, or maybe do destruction and then have like the cold chill of death for winter. But then that leaves that Adepticon preview for way too long. Just a playful thought. First time I saw the Storm Town was Death in the Skies back in 6th. The Storm, yeah, I think it was. Death in the Skies in 6th edition was when the Storm Town, the Daka Jet, and the Doom Scythe were released together. So Chaos moved the pylons to around Terra to try and lock away the rest of the Imperium. See the one book about the Sister of Silence and Custodian and save Terra. So the Ideneth are soulless. We don't know. The answer is probably no, because they were formed from souls extracted from Slanesh. That's kind of how it works. So them being soulless is unlikely. Them being soul stealers is also true, but what they do with those souls, I don't know. I probably don't want to know. Stupid man things, Skaven need battle book next. Yes, yes. I don't know about next, although I would like to see more Skaven. This is the thing, AOS has been so slow with its bloody release schedule. We need more stuff now, damn it. Storm Raven was 5th, yes it was. It was April 2010. I know it was in April, because the Blood Angels Codex came out in an April, along with the Sanguinor, the Death Company, Lamates, Astorath, Sanguinary Guard. Yeah, I have sort of an odd borderline photographic memory for some releases. I don't know why. The Raptors are a part of the reason why Korax left. The Ravens should know the full story. They do have some Terminators who probably remember. No. The amount of Space Marines who live to 10,000 is about 1. And that's Epimetheus, the founder of the Grey Knight. No other Space Marine bore witness to the Horus Heresy that's alive today. Dante's the oldest. Oh, Bjorn. Sorry, Bjorn, but he's a Dreadnought. He doesn't technically count. So how does one take souls from Slanesh asking for a craft world? They trapped Slanesh in a sort of limbo between two realms and then basically went fishing, for want of a better word. The 5th end was 2010, the Talon was 2012, back in the... Yes! Called it perfectly! Problem with the second death faction is Nagash went successful eating all the death gods to become the mono god of death, so he'll be able to lead the faction. Well, the Flesh Eater Courts proved you can do it. They still serve under Nagash, sort of, but they do their own thing. So you can easily have the Mortarks lead a faction, although they're not going to do that. You can have a Necromancer faction, so it's led by Necromancers, who sort of raise their own little personal armies and then join up with Nagash when things get big, and that sort of thing. So that's probably how they'll do it. Plus, just because we have one death god doesn't mean we can't have death factions within that. Stop building a starship-sized fishing pole. Well, the first thing is you need a sorcerer on the power of Marathi, Malerian, and Teclis, and to an extent Tyrion, to be able to construct the trap between the realms. So you need a soul who's escaped from Slaaneshi's clutches for a start. Then you need 3 gods. And then you also need a sub-dimension to store them in. Or Tomb Kings. We discussed Tomb Kings before. I don't think we're going to get a Tomb Kings thing. Like, Cetra is dead. Like, Cetra is dead. Necronmancer. Stop mocking my pronunciation, jackass. Have a good day. Salutations from Buenos Aires. Have a good day. It's about the Drakari. Yeah, about that. Yeah. Lich Lord, do we have any liches in lore? Not to my knowledge. Like, the Mortarks probably are like the nearest thing to liches, like super powerful necromancers. So that would do. How broke do you think Gilliman was by returning and visiting the Emperor? He certainly won't have been bouncing off the ceiling. How many prizes Gilliman lost against the Demon Prowls after he's returned? He kind of lost to Magnus on Luna, but he didn't because they were saved, so Deus Ex Machina. He then beat Perturaba, or at least fought him to a Moltarian, or at least fought him to a standstill. Other than that, I don't know how many fights he's had with the Traitor Primarchs. Webway Pocket, pair of avatars and Shagarats join in and then just need a soul. Yeah, you also need a soul that's powerful enough to have escaped on its own. Yeah, he kind of lost against Magnus. Like, they won overall because they were saved by the Sisters of Silence and stuff, but they did technically kind of lose. Don't care, I keep saying Tomb Kings. I know. Nagash is the closest thing to a Lich. Arkan has led an army into the realm of shadow looking for the souls the elves are taking from him. That's no surprise. I mean, the Slaaneshi forces are converging on Ulgu because Marathi's taken too many, and Arkan doing the same makes sense. They could even do like a Shadow War campaign, like a war in the realm of shadow, the 13 realms. That could be a really fun battle. Cetra, Vulcan next loyal Angron Traitor, I find it extremely unlikely. That particular pairing I find unlikely. Angron is possible, but Lion is the most likely loyalist, followed closely by Russ. Cetra didn't die after the Chaos Gods brought him back, but like he has no way of surviving the end of the world. That's the thing. Like everyone who survived through to the New World were basically gods, or were consumed by the gods. Cetra had given the Chaos Gods a massive FU, so they weren't going to take him. He'd given Nagash a massive FU, so he wasn't going to take him, and he certainly wasn't going to resurrect his spirit. So, like, how would Cetra make it from point A to point B, aside from the Sly Marbo effect of just because he can, because he's Cetra? So with my time being called by one of his boys should kill that guy champion or not? Could you repeat the question? I think something got lost in phrasing there. I don't know if Russ is going to be next. I still think Fulgrim is the most likely to be next. As for whether he should be is another debate, but I think Fulgrim is the next. There's rumours about Phase 2. Could you expand on that point to make me understand what you mean when you say Phase 2? Because Phase 2 just sounds ominous. To be fair, the General's Handbook was a phase. Each update is like a new phase of the game. It's like a big update. He is Cetra, his will could hold. That's how he used Necromancer. He was no mage. It's not impossible, but it is extremely, 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 extremely unlikely. That's all I'll say. I can see Nagash doing it as an FU to Cetra and it goes wrong. Like, why would Nagash deliberately bring himself a rival that he could just taunt. Like, the fact that Cetra is dead means he's got control of his soul if he wanted to. Why would you then resurrect him and say, hey, I need someone to fight, go run off, do your thing? Like, why would he do that? It's just not Nagash's way, I don't think. Are we on the gold? Yeah, we're on the gold. So, just to prepare the shoulder pad. I wish they made a Horus Heresy Terror Assault game. They may do one day. Plus the rules will there'll almost certainly be a narrative mission put in the relevant 30k book to allow you to fight the Siege of Terror. Mortarion was told off by one of his captains because he had Nurgle's favourite. Yeah, Typhon. Typhon has more, or Typhus as he's now known, is higher in Nurgle's affections than Mortarion, because Typhus corrupted the Death Guard, not Mortarion. He did that with Manfred. Fair point. Fair point. Fair point. I still find it extremely unlikely, but it's not impossible. I'll go with that. Unlikely, but not impossible. Hey, right, gold. Always believe in it. No, enough of that. Enough of that. Typhus a hero, Mortarion just a champion. Yeah, in a way. Mortarion was never the most willing to accept Nurgle's gifts until he kind of had no choice but to do so. Whereas Typhus was always a bit more of a devotee, so I can see why he ranks higher with Nurgle. Mortarion should have killed that guy the moment he started back-chatting him. Well, the thing is, like, Typhus proved himself, despite being a Psyker, to be the best of the Death Guard without using his psychic abilities, because Mortarion hated Psykers. Like, killing Typhon would have served no purpose for Mortarion. He'd have just lost his first captain and one of his best warriors because of a bit of sass, and that just, no. What do you think the Silent King's been up to in the modern lore? In the new Necron Codex, it says it's been helping out other races fight off Tyranids. That sounds about like what he would be doing. Because that's his whole shtick, is try and unite the Necrons and potentially even unite the galaxy against the Tyranids. Like he's like Commander Bloody Shepherd in Necron form. Nagash owns Manfred and has his soul on a leash. Manfred, all intents and purposes, is Nagash's bleep. Yeah. And I don't think... somehow I feel like Cetra just wouldn't take it and would somehow manage to overcome it. I feel like Nagash just doesn't want to risk it because he's got Manfred where he wants him, but Cetra's Cetra. He also told Manfred we served well, he'd get his girl back. He's yet to do that because that... Yeah, like once you bring back Isabella or... Actually, no, Isabella was Vlad's missus, not Manfred's. Angra does it all the time, we all know how well he's doing. Yeah, but then imagine if he killed Khan, like... Yeah. Is Demon Primal more powerful than the Greater Demon, or the same thing? It sort of varies in terms of power level. Like the Demon Primax is supposed to be like utter stupid tier compared to like everybody else. They're supposed to be like stupid tier. I'm the Silent King. This is my favorite planet in the galaxy. I knew someone was going to make a bloody Commander. At the moment I said Commander Shepard, I was like, yep, someone's making a reference. And you did not disappoint. Isabella is the mother of Manfred. Yeah, she is. I thought it was. Vlad's girl. Null next death battle term, etc. I'd be so on board with it. Like, I'd love it, but I'd be very, very surprised. I'd be surprised, but I'd love it. Hello. Which Silent King had a model? Oh yeah, I'd love the Silent King to get a model. I hope he gets one day. I do. I really hope he gets one. Yeah, the vampire. I was actually running that exact hypothetical. Like, how are like Vlad, Manfred, and Isabella actually related? I never looked into the vampires back in the day. You think after 10,000 years, Gorechild has become a demon weapon after all the blood it's been soaked in. Does Gorechild have the demon weapon rule? Answer: no. Therefore, is Gorechild a demon weapon? No. Sorry to be blunt about it, but it doesn't have the demon weapons tricks, so no, it isn't. What do you want to do after uni? I'm thinking of teaching, actually. I'm thinking of teaching, although being a teacher and then also a YouTuber might get fun if I'm teaching at secondary school and one of the kids in class gets into Warhammer off the back of my channel. That would just be the weirdest thing. Cool, but very weird. It just comes up to me after class and is like, excuse me, so I was watching your video on such and such a faction the other day. Would you mind explaining them a bit more to me? It's like, oh god, no, don't make me do this. Do you think we know what the Terminus Decree is? Because the novel Old Earth of Vulcan making his Necro self-destruct button for the Golden Throne and bring it to Big E. I'd need to read Old Earth to get full clarification. Before I gave a concrete answer. Remlays might know better. Red or blue favourite Thousands of Suns colour? I kind of like them in blue, but I don't like what the blue means because it means that they're like the traitor version. Like, Loyalist Thousand Suns in blue would be really good. I know I normally paint things red, but I really like midnight blue as a colour. Perfect day painting a cold star watching a live stream. Nice. Nice. I'm going to have to really clean this model up. Not been very accurate with the gold. Martial arts and history enthusiast, Metatron is both teacher and YouTuber. Okay, well, I can make it work. But yeah. Gorechild isn't the demon weapon, but the butcher's nails in Khan's head make him think it has a mind of its own. Really? Okay. Those 4,000 Suns Assyrian Contemptors are pretty... Yeah, they are. The Assyrian Contemptor Dreadnoughts are amazing models. Like, if I had enough reason to like go in on 30k, I'd absolutely have one. And the Scarab Occult Terminators. Because, oh, they're so good. They're so good. I don't know if I'd have arm on, but damn, the Thousand Suns look good. Damn. Yeah, I really need to clean that up, but there you go. Vampire the Masquerade does answer the question of bleep for vampires. They can do it, but most don't. The bodily function of kindred cease after the embrace. Right. But before we get a battle tome for death, we need goblins. We need many things for Age of Sigmar. Unfortunately, we need many factions. If you did teach, you'd have to give up the podcast. That and being a YouTuber causes difficulties other than students coming to you with law fights. Why would I have to give up the podcast? As long as... is it because of the swearing thing? Would it be because of bad language I'd have to give up the podcast? Like, why? As much as I don't swear on my channel in 99% of what I do, and I can censor myself on the podcast, I don't think it would be fair on Remlaze and Alexis to say, I've got a job where it's not 100%, where I'll be teaching students, thus I can't do the podcast. That seems incredibly harsh. So has anyone else seen the Warhammer TV April Fools? Yeah, I had a look at that on Sunday. That was interesting. Thousand Suns are just pretty low, their 30k designs. The designs are great in 30k. I quite like the modern era Rubik Marines, but it's what it signifies to that means I'm not 100% keen. How sure would you be that that family friend of your grandparents listened to Carl a fresh podcast episode? Well, the thing is, like, you might say give up the podcast, but then I'd have to then take every episode of the podcast I've ever been in down off my channel just to stop people going back and finding it. Like, I'd have to take down episode after episode of the podcast just to stop someone stumbling across it. Like, that's just not feasible. You won't be able to post a link in the chat, unfortunately, unless you're a mod. It didn't get uploaded today, it got uploaded on Sunday, because it was April Fool's. But yeah. I know what you mean. I do know what you're saying, but I'd have to just say to any future employee, I have had a YouTube channel and that I currently run a YouTube channel. It's predominantly PG. Well, it's pseudo PG content. Like, Warhammer's kind of on an awkward line anyway with being PGs. It's a 12+ game, but some of the things in the books are just graphic as hell. So it's kind of already walking a fine line. So I don't know. Any idea what something great and terrible is coming to the mortal realms in the Dread Solstice Aftermath text might refer to? The big purple death ball is what comes to mind. The big purple death ball. It's because you're a semi-public figure and parents are the worst people to deal with. You start talking about demons and just watch them flip out. But then everyone who comes to this channel knows it's not real. Like, I don't think I ever make political references or much cultural reference at all. So, like, it's not real, it's fantasy. And even at a cursory glance, sure, it's slightly more macabre than bloody Lord of the Rings, but it's still just elves and dwarves and, well, not elves, it's elves and orcs and things just in space or in another universe. It's an awkward line. It is awkward, but it's something. I'm going to have that channel hanging over me. Well, hanging over is the wrong word. This channel's going to be something that has to be considered going forward for the rest of my days. I know that. Honestly, my friends who are teachers just operate under a different name for social stuff. I doubt any kids will be able to track you down as you primarily operate as Tactica. Yeah, like I leave my surname has never been mentioned, and you've probably noticed. Like, when was the last time I actually said my name in the introduction to a video? Like, you probably didn't. Nobody probably noticed, but when was the last time I used my name to introduce a video? Genuinely, go back, find it. It's been a while. Just curious how the Thousand Suns recruit. Remlace did a video about that, I think. That's on 90% he did. Either way, you have to be extremely keen to keep your public and private life separate. Oh yeah, like I'd never be like. I wouldn't be like bringing like hosting an after-school Warhammer club and filming battle reports with the students. That would be utterly suicidal. That would be career suicide to do that, but. But like, even if I stopped the channel tomorrow and then didn't touch it again and went into a teaching career, the channel's still going to exist and people can still find it. There's nothing I can do about that. Yeah, I haven't done it in ages. Like, part of it is just so I can, if my friends get involved, it's not my channel, it's our channel. That's kind of what I want, is that if my friends are able to contribute content, we are Tactica Imperialis as much as the name is primarily associated with me. Could be worse. Could become a history teacher and use minutes to demonstrate historical battles. You realise I could still do that. As much as I teach physics, like I could still use my miniatures to demonstrate. All right, so this is how like balance. This is why equal and opposite reaction works. You fire this bolt gun, it has recoil. Or you spin this particle up inside this pulse rifle, it comes flying out, and so on. I could still do it. Once you put something to the internet, it's there forever. Yeah, it is. I'm painting a Stormcast Eternals Retributor Prime. So it's the last model before the army hits 4,000 points. Trying for teaching 2, got to finish my degree first. Yeah, get through that, get your PGCE or whatever the equivalent is in your country of origin, and see where you're at. What's the battalion's cost in points? The Storm Vortex, I'm assuming you're referring to from Monday's video. It's 200. On sick days, you could just show episodes of Men at Arms. Probably not. Like, no. Because if I do that, then like I'm at that point full on saying, hey, I have friends on YouTube, they do stuff, and that encourages them to find their channels, and then therefore they find my channel if they didn't know already. And at that point, I am utterly boned. So, probably not the best thing I could do. You know, if you use small plastic models as examples in physics, you will lose respect from your students. Oh yeah, like I know like scientists are a massive bunch of nerds. But yeah, true. Do you think if we could become an online game where people could buy units to be massive for GW or the death of the hobby? Probably a bit of both. Like it would get people into the physical hobby, but also less people would also get into the physical hobby. It's hard to know. Joan thought of a class of kids running up to me going, you know a dinosaur and a demon? Yeah, I know a part mechanical dinosaur inquisitor and a half demon worshipper thingy. Yeah, that conversation could absolutely go well. That would just be utterly awesome. I should try and say something of that ilk next time on the podcast just to get it animated. I need to get that animated. I need to try and get that into the podcast somewhere to get that animated because that would just be hilarious. Oh, by the way, if you didn't see it, there was a Animaticus video came out yesterday, day before. There was an Animaticus came out, so make sure you go and watch it. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. So do that if you haven't already. I never picked up nuts. Alright, I need to do that in a minute. Don't make sound effects using the minis in demonstration. I'll be teaching a class of 12 to 18 year olds. How much of a moron do you think I am? Now hyped for Cthulhu Elves. Oh, I've been hyped for the Idoneth as soon as they were announced. Like, I've been intrigued by the Idoneth pretty much out the gate. And why are you a robot? It's not a robot, it's a battlesuit armed with a, well in my case, a stealth system, universal translator, and I don't think it actually has a gun. No, it doesn't have a gun because it got broke. I'll show you how to make one if you behave. As a physics student, does all technology make your head hurt? Not particularly. Like, sometimes it's fun to just like, well, I know that gun doesn't work because orcs, but if it were to work, how the hell would it work? It's orcs, so I just take it with a pinch of salt and laugh it off because I love the orcs. Do the teeth double as a projectile? No, their teeth are their money. Like, why would you just be literally shooting money at people? It's just a silly idea. Sad there's no Davy Jones elf ripoff. Well, the guy riding a hippocampus, Pegasus, Kraken, thingamajig does have an eye patch, I think. So make of that what you will. But the pirate elves is much more like the Corsair vibe. It's like Black Ark Corsairs and Scourge Privateers. Teach them the greater good. That's actually not a terrible idea. The idea of everyone working together toward a common goal. Like, honestly, the greater good is not a bad mantra to teach. In some ways. Some. But Lats Weapons has a built-in caffeine. It says, I don't drink caffeine or alcohol. I'm an absolute weirdo for a student, but I don't drink caffeine and I don't drink alcohol. I know, I'm weird. Works on werewolves. I mean, an elf with an octopus head sounds like an elf with an octopus for a head. The thing is, that's not the Idonet's gimmick. Like, they are elves that use the magic of the seas. They're not Cthulhu elves, so I get it, but I also know why they're not doing it. The greater good is mostly fought. The greater good has problems. I'll fully agree with that. The greater good has its problems. But as your Augur Vaser, you will have to be sterilised. For the greater good, you understand. I just imagine trying to explain the warp and the chaos gods to a student. Hey, I've taught 40k to people. I've taught 40k's lore to people, and people are just like 50% completely weird out confused and 50% utterly fascinated. It's a fantastic moment. Do any of you remember the stream where I had the physics friends on? Do any of you remember that? Were any of you there on the physics friends stream about a year ago? Please tell me somebody was there, because that was just me teaching Warhammer in very short bursts, and it was utterly glorious. The greater good means that you must not pick up a sharpened stick and shank people while in battle. They are not water Pokemon. They have, like, water Pokemon, but yeah. Is it better than the Imperium? Yes. Agreed. Is it good? No. Is it better than the Imperium? Hell yes. There. Yeah, if you remember the Physics Friends stream, you know what I'm like when I'm teaching Warhammer. I can just go and just ramble and go at 100 miles an hour. Like, I remember, what was it when I was trying to explain? I think it was Kurz and Angron. That was just great. I tried to get the Physics Friends on again before I left Manchester, but I couldn't do it. So I'm going to try when I go back in September to get the Physics Friends on a stream. Just a couple of them, maybe like once a month, maybe once every semester. Just get the Physics Friends on, because it was so much fun. It was great fun. So that stream with your friends on YouTube is so, right. I know I'll watch. Yeah. It totally rates the half weird, half glorious. I explained the whole red ones go faster to people and the results were rather hilarious. Yeah, they think it should go faster because it's painted red, so it goes faster. I thought the Tau do have some sort of melee combat, but they dislike it. They're not good at it. They have some melee weapons for their battle suits, like the Fusion Blades, the Onega Gauntlet, the Dawn Blade, but generally melee combat is not their way. I don't know if it's disdain or just a realisation that it's not their strong suit, because it isn't. Biggest fault with the greater good is the ethereals. Get rid of them and it'll be better. Just look at the Farsight Enclaves. A perfect example of what it could be. The Farsight Enclaves are still not perfect. Like, I like the Farsight Enclaves and we need more lore on what life is like in the Farsight Enclaves and the Terra Empire, but they're still flawed for various reasons that I wish I could tell you more about. Tau can only melee in the form of a... In less than 1,000 years, everyone offers will have their whole life on the internet. Yeah, that's kind of true. To be fair, the Eldari practice the greater good as well. They make sure trillions of Monkai die for the greater good of the craft world. Craft world always use like the Farsight Enclave more. Probably because they're more willing to talk about chaos, and that's it. The Tau just aren't strong. They're not physically powerful, no. They're not physically strong. So they never trained for melee combat, as I think how it goes. I'd need to go trawling back through for exactly what the details are. Hey, y'all, prepare yourself for the... Technically, the dancing melee thing is the Harlequin's gimmick, but details. Tabletop warriors are about as strong as a rebel human, that's just tabletop. Yeah, but the reason that they're worse in melee is reflected by the fact they don't train for it, so their weapon skill is a 5+, not a 4+. Also bear in mind that the strength chart is ridiculously condensed. Strength and toughness are ridiculously condensed in this game. Like, for the longest time, orcs were the same strength as humans. They've been buffed this edition, but for the longest time, orcs and humans were the same strength, and that was just wrong. Looking forward to return to Kill Team. I never really got into Kill Team the first time, but I might give it a bash and just see what it's like. And if I like it, then I might do some battle reports on it. Or I might just do one video where I do like a my thoughts on. I don't know, I'll have to just try it, I think, because I've never got into it the first time. Could you imagine if we found out the Enclaves were an oppressive military dictatorship? They're not probably that far off of that, in all honesty. Everybody else is towering over even the normal human, they're shorter than human. Tau are shorter than humans, yes, that's true, I think. So Ulthwé is trying to get allies from everyone who's willing to fight chaos. That is also true. You're crazy sometimes, chat. Let's patch up the red, actually. Oh, actually. Favorite tactics to use against towers, jump at melee. Well, yeah, that's an option. It's always an option. Wait, didn't I paint the gold rim on one of these? Didn't I? No, I didn't. Recent lore has the Maiden in the Dark Angels, Space Wolves, Grey Knights, and the Farsight Enclaves also covered the retreat of the Mordian Guard when they got attacked by Zinj. I knew about the Mordian one. The others, I think I just need to have because I read the Tau Codex very quickly in French, so I probably missed a bunch of details. Jump hammer, smashing time. Gotta be, stay safe. Take care, ta-da. Well, if everyone in the galaxy would stop and think, they'd realise they're all screwed if they don't deal with chaos, they have to work together. Yeah, but that would require people actually thinking in the galaxy. That would require people using their brains. What? You know what? What are the most technologically advanced factions in 40k? In terms of raw tech, as in not psychic, Necrons, Tau, everybody else. The Drukhari are also up there, but they've got some like weird chicanery that goes into that. So probably Necrons, Drukhari, and Tau are up there. Though when you add psychic stuff in the Craftworld, Eldari have to be considered as well, and the Harlequins. Do you prefer brush with stiffer or softer bristles for dry brushing? I use an actual dry brush, which is quite brittle, or quite stiff. Which craftsman Primarch was most likely to attach a jump pack to Terminator armor? None of them, because they're not that stupid. The Iron Guard does not retreat without orders, sign in triplicate, lost for 6 months, found, lost again, and recycled into mulch and shot several times. I did do a video on the Iron Guard, so I roughly know how they operate. As part of Regiments of Renown. A nice little mini series of mine. That I did. About town melee may say the fauna of their home planet was simply better in melee than them, which shaped their battle doctrines towards range. But it's also, I think, partly because it's far less controlled. In melee, there's a lot more randomness in play. So it's partly that, I think. Okay, I need to do that thing. Yeah, there's not a lot I need to do here to get the base code done. So you're going to get an extra long stream. Although I managed to convince them the fight against Zinj in the Stygian sector was lost. Yeah, and they retreated. They did. They backed off. Mordian itself held for a while, but they did back off. The idea of a demon prince, that's like the Midas walking up to Ethereal and saying, "Where's your greater good now?" I only ask because my head canon is that Gabriel Angelos' contempt to Terminator arm was prototyped by Perturaba to integrate jump jets. No. The Primarchs are weird, but not that weird. Melee probably does take more skill, but you can also, there is a bit more of an element of luck. I think the Tower of seen a Demon Primarch. We don't know. It's the only answer I can give to that. We don't know if the Tower have come across a Demon Primarch yet. They've come across demons, but whether they've come across a Primarch or a Demon Primarch remains to be seen. I think they haven't. To my knowledge, they haven't. Can the Eldar create more advanced technology, or are they still using the same technology from the War in Heaven? I think they can create, but not loads, or they don't generally do it loads, to my knowledge. I'm not a huge expert on my Eldari. We're one war away from a change in doctrines, because even with Titans, the Imperium had to fight in melee the Orcs. Yeah, the town do know about Orcs. The town know plenty about Orcs. Fought them enough damn times. With which grapple does Talon have a pact of friendship? I think that's a Latok. Let me check my Talon script, because I know I mentioned it. It was BL Tan, sorry. BL Tan, my bad. Perchar has a cape made of razor blades. I think he practiced killing while looking fabulous for his Fulgrim taught him. Deary me. Why didn't the Towers Rousham beat a meeting Gilliman? By the greater good that gave that. What's the name they have for them? What's the name for a Space Marine? They have a special name for Space Marines. It's not Gala, it's something special. They have a name for it and just like, wow, that Tau word for Space Marine is really tall. And it's probably very important, so either we need to kill him or we need to talk to him. One of the two. It depends probably on who's there at the time. Flippin' heck. Get that in a sec. Imlock still makes new technology. It actually got the attention of the Fox Mechanicus. Ah, right. Like I say, I don't know my Eldari as well as I know some other races. Oh. Oi. Whatever you do, don't make him mad or we're all screwed. Talcol Titans totally flipped that Zibig battlesuit. I suppose so. I think they sort of worked out what Titan class vehicles are now. Maybe originally they did say that. Because, I mean, they've got big, not battle suits now in the form of the Storm Surge. It's not a battle suit. Nor is the town now, I believe. Anyway, have I tidied that up now to a significant degree? Yeah, dry brush. So actually, do I want to take a short break? Yeah, I'm going to take a short break. Get my dry brush ready. And just stuff. So I'm going to take a break for like 2 minutes. So I'll be right back. And we're back. So, I want the town to be Khan the Betrayer, play the Benny Hill theme and watch the gold. Why is it Dakka Orcs are not a thing in AOS? How do Orcs get their weapons in 40k? One word. Mechs. They have no mechs. That's the short answer. Mitch of the Parade Requirements will be next to face Gilliman. Fulgrim, I agree. Any opinions of the rumour of Gazgul getting upgraded a model as a Prime Orc? Take with extreme salt until proper confirmation. Would be cool, but Prime Orcs are such an old thing from like War of the Beast era that then bringing one suddenly back, I don't know. Gazgul getting a new model, I wouldn't be against, but whether it be a Prime Orc, I don't know. And yeah, the Lizardmen, I would not call the Lizardmen primitive at all. They could read the fates and then construct something based off what they portents said. They could create. They weren't maybe the best engineers, but they could. Gazgul Thraka has the best name. I hope it becomes as big as the beasts of old. Well, that's the noise. That do we want to do that to Gazgul? Take him up to that scale and say, right, he's now lore-wise going to be able to hold his own in a fight with literally everybody and their mother, even if said everybody is a Primarch. Because apparently, gameplay-wise, like you can wipe the floor with them, but Orcs Fantasy and AOS have some understanding of metallurgy. Like, they can create like bows and axes and that stuff, so they can use metal. But there's a difference between able to shape metal into like a sword and making a gun. There are two entirely different things. No, let's not go full. Let's not go off the deep end here and say Titan scale. Let's not go off the deep end here. Thinking maybe the size of the Primaris Dreadnought. Maybe actually Primarch size, something like that. Dwarves don't ever win, but with the love of loot the Orcs have, maybe at least some of them would use them. If they could get their fingers round the bloody trigger. Bear that in mind. Like if they're sculpted for dwarven hands, are you sure an Orc could fire it because of the firing mechanism? Dwarves in the past always played defensively, yeah, they were very slow, so it suited them to play defense. Nowadays, we don't really have much on the Duardian factions, but the Fire Slayers are very aggressive, and the Caradron are quite aggressive too, so they've changed the way the Dwarves act across the eras, going into the Age of Sigmar. If Gazgul can probably give Orcs an answer to Gilliman on tabletop, well, apparently Gazgul is already up on the level of Gilliman tabletop wise. Apparently, like he can take him already. I don't know how true that is, but I've heard. Will there ever be a bigger war than the War in Heaven? Unlikely. Like the Horus Heresy was as close as humanity was gonna get. Oh, excuse me. I always love this stage. I always love washing big recessed golden areas. I love doing this section. Like shoulder pads, leg pieces, mounts. I love just washing the gold because it just makes such a difference. What do you faction do they tease would be the return of black? I think it's going to be whatever faction the black coach is in. Because it looked like a black coach to me. Though that would be Nighthorn to already have tide over rules in the General's Handbook, so I don't know. Can Gilliman turn it around for the Imperium, or will he need his brothers to pull their weight as well? He'll do his damnedest. Can he? Hard to know. Closest 40k could get would be all mortal races against Chaos United or the Tyranids. Goblins like to shoot anyway, why is this not a thing at the very least? I get what you're saying, and maybe we will get like a gunslinger goblin tribe in future. We just need more Orc and Goblin factions, I think, before we can start properly whinging. All galaxies at war now, and the warp is literally tearing the galaxy in half as they right now is making the war in heaven. Debatably, maybe. Necrons and the Eldari would never ally with each other. Valid. In the grimdark future there is only war, there is no peace among the stars, merely the laughter of the... I think it's something, and the laughter of thirsting gods. I can't quite remember the entire phrase. What's so true it's a meme? We say many things that are true and a few things that are meme worthy. You need to clarify. Eldari can work with orcs, but many don't. Probably they can, but really not very well. I already answered that question regarding Gilliman. I think he'll do his best, but I don't know if he can. It's one of those things that we'll just get to a new status quo, which is improved by Gilliman. But will they be able to turn the tides and actually take the galaxy back? No way. Not even with all the Primarchs. An eternity of slaughter and the laughter of thirsting gods. They did a novel on the old ones, reading on the War in Heaven. I don't think they will. Like, I don't know quite how I'd want them to do it. Would they want to do the origins, or maybe like snapshots of different battles? I don't know. There's many ways you could do it. And I don't know. Like, I don't think they'll ever do it, or if they do, it'll be very much fragmented, like memories of a Necron or of an Eldari who was there. There we go. First video TTS playlist. Yeah. Oh yeah, there was that special video, wasn't there? They did. Or somebody did. Could you imagine being an astronomer in another galaxy, seeing the Great Rift and thinking, WTF is happening? I suppose so. I suppose so. What did Aldred say to Fulgrim that he got so miffed he went and virus bombs everyone made him was? I think he basically just told him about Horus's betrayal and stuff. Yeah, Garrett, that's the name. So with 3 races that remember the war in heaven, the Eldar, the Orcs, and the Necrons, all 3 are unreliable. Yeah, that's true. Can humanity win the long war at this point? Is it impossible? If you mean can the Imperium win, no, because you can never beat Chaos in its entirety. Where are the Brain Boys, Orcs, or the old ones? According to Orc myth, they were wiped out by a plague, which would coincide with the old ones being wiped out by the war in heaven, and then by the enslavers. In Gathering Storm 3, some Yennari were trying to lead the Necrons alone in a fight against Chaos. The Necrons were doing it as well, but then some started killing them anyway. Oops. What's a proper big scrap long ago, proper fight? That's pretty much what the Runt Herds would say about it. Some say that they became snotlings, yeah, some say. It's unconfirmed. Eldad saw that Fulgrim was corrupted by Slaanesh and attempted to assassinate him, and the Emperor's children that were also corrupted. That's true, he saw the Leia blade and was like, oh flip, I can't help him. Yeah, the Eldari War in Heaven is a separate thing entirely. Manfred fought on all battlefields that was Sigmar as a god versus Orcs. Brought them back and they were Titan-sized. The wind off their arms were knocking prosecutors out of the sky. Wow. There's no confirmation of the Emperor's Children's actual music taste. That's just what we associate with them today. Okay, good. So if the Imperium was able to create these black stone devices to close the rift, they could in theory create more to permanently close off chaos in the galaxy and in a sense win. Yeah, but you can't then stop random breaches from psychers or the like. And yes, it is that song if the whistling wasn't super dead obvious. Da, da. Emperor's children used to have guitars and played hair metal, spiking their rainbow mohawks. That was like in the 80s, and things were just like 40k didn't take itself quite so seriously. Excluding Farsight, who do you think is the biggest badass in the galaxy? I find it hard to look past the Iron Hand Strackens and Commissar Yarriks of this galaxy. In all truth, I find it hard to look past them. Yeah. I'm sorry for the return of the Thunder Warriors. They were very genetically unstable. They'll have died by now. Even if they survived, like, the culling, they'll be dead by now from just degeneration and the like. And you basically, your desire there is for a model of Gorka Morka, as in the god Gorka Morka. I know it's not particularly especially Gorka Morka, but that's kind of the vibe I'm getting. Grimaldus is up there. Grimaldus is up there, yeah. The Emperor's Children Gene Seed is probably pretty messed up, but they also have Fabius Bio. In some cases. Which Loyalist brothers hate the Imperium the most, and what would they do to try and fix it? None of them will be particularly happy with it. Gilliman isn't. Yeah, it's TTS episode 16, 17. I think 16 and 17. 15 was Town, 19 was the Warp. 18. Between 16 and 18. Can dawn when a stag? No. Humans have to blink. The Custodians retain the service of high-powered biomans as psychics in order to maintain their numbers. They have to. They have to. I don't quite remember what the Custodians Codex says these days, but they have like the best biomancers in the Imperium. I loved the Warp Chat segment. Like there was a point I could almost quote that episode verbatim. There was a point I knew that episode so well I could quote it almost to the word. Sure as the answer to the biggest bias if he actually existed. Alanius Pius or Ollie Person did exist. Whether he did everything that he said he did, like involving the Imperial Palace is up for debate, but Ollie Person or Alanius Pius did exist. Beautiful. And let that those dry now. Ah. So that could be a problem. And if you want to be a problem, that way. Oh, I didn't. Oh, sorry. The warp. When I say warp chat, I was thinking the conversation that Kitten and Magnus had about the warp. That's the episode I could quote almost verbatim, not the Spacebook warp chat segment. Sorry. Mine is suddenly warp storms. Yeah, I remember that. Here's another totally non-essential use of my powers. 40k end time discussion is very outdated at this point. It's a very outdated discussion. Like that was a thing right before Gathering Storm was a thing. Oh, the ones involving Chegarak. Does Drago count as warp shenanigans? Yeah, close enough, I guess. In TTS verse, yeah, close enough. Abaddon then becomes a demon prince and conquers the galaxy, only to be eaten by the terrorists. The thing is, Abaddon would refuse demonhood. Like, that's kind of Abaddon's shtick. Like, maybe if the Long War was won, he might accept it, but he's refused it time and time again. Is it possible that Terra isn't out of water, but ancient Terra is simply built over all the bodies? It is kind of weird that Terra is completely out of water. It is a little bit of an oddity, but then again, Warhammer logic. It's funny, I actually did quote to myself how the Feth can a giant holy space beacon flip you the bird. I actually said that to myself on like Friday. I did say that to myself very, very quietly because I was in France. People were like, what are they on about? But yeah. Seeing how Valdor's supposed to be the first custodian, he hasn't shown signs of symptoms of his sense slowing like the custodian's 40k. Could they ever have a way of fixing it? We don't know what happened. Like Valdor, we don't kind of know what happened to him. So he either died or he retired. We don't know which. So I would start with his death threat. No one's saying that. Yeah, like if I think that's the only way you get Abbott to be a demon is to actually kill him. I think it's the only way you could do it is to kill him. Sort of force him to take it. Go on, let me see it. Fun fact, recently all the Dracaria adapted Custodes. What new models would you like to see GW do? How long a list do you want? Like, how long a list am I allowed? What is the genetic flaw in the Iron Warrior since the fall? Probably just over stubbornness and unwillingness to retreat and things like that. I would see a stream TTS marathon with Alpha commentary. That would be kind of fun. Just have Alpha watching all episodes of TTS and just commentating over them. Do not. Oh, it's super human for taking the body slap. That's the Iron Hands flaw, the replace all the flesh with shiny bits. That's the Iron Hands gimmick, not the Iron Warriors. The Tortured Throne. Oh, the Tortured Throne! I've been tweeted that. Someone mentioned that to me. I think someone actually did tweet that to me. Yes. Following the apparent abduction of several Custodian Guard, Inquisitors of the Order of Xenos pursue the Coven of the Twisted Spiral to a wandering moon deep in the interstellar void. Hope of catching their quarry soon vanishes, but on the moon's barren surface, the Inquisitors find what appears to be a simulacrum of the Golden Throne, covered in blood and viscera. Just as they're sending word, the Twisted Spiral appear and butcher the Imperial agents. Feel sorry for the Dracaria, thought it was a good idea to Custodes. I don't quite know how you got Evil Custodes from that, but yeah. Do you ever support Alpha just for what he's done to the fan base? Yeah, in some ways, like it would be great to get, but then again, at the same time, it's nice that Alpha and GW are two inside separate entities because they can take it each down their own route and do what they want without being influenced. Well, sort of while being influenced by each other, but also not. Done with Demonettes onto Seekers. Nice, well done. I'm literally about 3 highlights off finishing my Paladins, so I can sympathise with that. Custodians were turned into furniture. Thing is, they have kind of released Kitten, because the Captain General of the Custodians is Trajan Valoris. And like, unless GW decided to fully embrace the meme and do it, if GW did that, it would be like trying to acknowledge the internet meme, and at that point, it's kind of risky. I don't think they'd go there. Because then because that's basically canonizing TTS, and whilst a lot of people would love to canonize TTS, it's just risky. Did they find a Dido writing desk with that copy of Golden Throne? No, we don't need Angry Marines. We really don't. Canonizer Alpha would stop. I don't know if he'd stop, but I think he'd certainly have to stop and think about what he was doing next. I wouldn't want to say what he would do, because I'm not Alpha, I don't speak to Alpha. I wouldn't want to guess. If GW released a mini of the Golden Throne, how tall would it be? It would be very, very impressive. It depends on like how much they focus on the steps and all of that sort of thing. It was just the seat itself, not much bigger than a like oversized chair, but it depends on like what scale they go to. No, we do not need Angry Marines. We really, really don't. Seeker boxes don't come with overalls. Oof. The Blatter bars are not the Angry Marines. People just like to meme about it. Oh, Varrig's here. Hi. That's an unexpected surprise. Pleasant, but unexpected. How much more have we got to do? Silvers, reds, bit of white, done. We don't need Angry Marines, we have the Black Templars, Minotaurs and Carcharodons. If you break my heart, I will die. So be true. And you say I'm not going for that high note. Should have turned the throne into a Terminator, at least in the end. Someone needs to go and read their lore. Oh, Farak, I should say, congratulations on 40,000. That's really impressive. So congratulations on that. Seeker series need a rebox. They come with bike bases, not the oval base. They come with the starter box. Ah, I see. That, yeah. That's problematic. Yeah, I'll take us, baby. With the tops. Right now. All done indeed. I mean, I'm nearly halfway to that particular target. I've just passed 15. So, yeah. People are salty. I'm missing Custodes. Can the Wise Guys be interesting again? That's harsh. Yeah, they are quite interesting. It's just they're not everybody's cup of tea. And they just need their lore fleshed out, particularly in the Heresy era. They just need more lore on them. Because that's what they don't have right now. It's just information. All copyrights on the box, Spruce 2009. Oh, bloody hell. This was last time I said, oh, cool. Oh, also you brought white scars there, cool. Hopefully 30k's lore will do that for them. I really hope that they get some really cool lore in 30k to flesh out Jagtai and the Legion. That's what I think they need. And it's the same faction Captain Tyranny as a change deals for use in the arena. Yeah, that's the Dracari for you. Right, I think, actually, hang on. No, I just want to neaten that up with a blue highlight, and then the squad will be done. Oh, I have done some fun, this is why I know that. Did the chat break? Chat just seems awfully quiet. cool lore now. It's not like they're space trash. There's a cool concept of poor execution. It can be so awesome, but sometimes someone says no every time. It's so annoying. I think just let their Legion lore come out, and then we'll draw conclusions again at that point. Who wants to buy a Farsight model that's out of stock in the UK? Ouch! Unlucky. This is why I never fell. Come on. Raven Guard again, poor executions. Like someone said, only Ultramarine Space on the Imperial Fist, everyone else no. Really? You're leaving the Blood Angels off that list? The Blood Angels are awesome, both 30 and 40k. Like 30k, Salamanders are really quite cool in 30k. Like they're like homeschool flavor text. Like their like, Nocturne flavor text is fascinating. Like, I find the Salamanders in 30k to be really fascinating, and also feeds obviously into their modern ethos. But it was in the Horus Heresy books where I first learned about it, and it was fascinating. And if we're just sticking with the Loyalists, well, the Dark Angels take or leave. Some people like them, some people don't. Classy. Close enough. So the Star Drake have 5,500 list points aside, like for Retributors and Devastators. Basically, this is 4,000. I've just finished this model. So that's 4,000. I have Paladors to do, and I have another hero to do, which combined with the Ether Wings I'm not doing yet, that'll be 4.5k. At that point, I have 500 points to play with. And I can get either a Star Drake, but I probably won't get that while I'm in France because it will just, I'll never get it home. Or I could bulk out maybe my Paladin core, my Liberator core, or something like that. That's it. 4,000 points in 7 months. 7 months minus 2 weeks at Christmas. So yeah, 6.5 months, maybe a tad less, to do 4,000 points. Stellar. No, not the Celestin Prime. I don't like the Celestin Prime's model. It's only like 300 or something points, and I actually don't like the model all that much, and it kind of doesn't, I don't really like it, so I won't get the Celestin Prime now. Oh, Jesus. Have you considered the points of the battalions you'll have, like the one with the birds and the like? Like, the problem is, the battalions are quite difficult for me to make because I don't have prosecutors and I don't have the flying knights, which makes it quite hard to, you know, get to a battalion. So, like, the Ether Strike Force, which I could make, need a Knight Venator and a Knight of Zeros. Same with the actual Vanguard Chamber, also need more Vanguard Raptors for that. Most of the Warrior Chamber ones, apart from the Thunderhead Brotherhood, which requires more Liberators, require Prosecutors. It's quite hard to make them without the Winged guys. Vera said, begin again. Begin again indeed. And that's what I'm going to be doing in September. I will be beginning again. The question is, what am I going to do? Am I going to do Daughters of Cain? Am I going to do Idna Deepkin? Am I going to go back to my tower? Will there be an Orc Codex? Maybe I'll just go completely off the deep end and do Drukari. I don't know. Draco's Cavalry is not a bad shout. Like, I like my Concussors and maybe something like... but which version? Fulminators? Maybe Tempestors to give me some more shooting? I don't know. 360 points with all war gear. Ouch! But then again, you're doing heavy conversion and I haven't, so... No, I won't be doing Chaos. Kieran is doing all Chaos and I'm playing Order. Yeah, Fulminators look really strong, but then it's Lancers. I'm worried they'll break. But then again, I've done my Lord Aquilo with a Lance, so... who cares, maybe? So yeah. Artillery is a hole in the chamber, but that's all the Stormcast really. With how much you shoot, would you really need it? I want... like, my army revolves around, like, maneuverability and then staying alive. I don't know. I honestly don't know what I'd add after 4.5k if I didn't add a Star Drake, which I'm not adding. For logistical reasons. No, I've got an Orc army I want to do, I've got a Tau army I want to do, I've got Drakari in the back of my mind. It's like, no. 45 minutes for less than 300 points. Are you serious? Jeez, they're cheap. I probably need more infantry. If I want to have a more rounded Stormcast army, I probably need more infantry. If I'm being completely blunt, I probably need more infantry, like basic infantry, like Liberators, just so I've got a basic force that can hold a line or cap an objective, but that cheap battle line. Better. Seekers are 19 each. 19. 19. That can't be an AOS, can it? Because, like, Paladors are like 60, 70 each. Shouts like Death of Destruction. We're having a player go Destruction. Rowan, I think, is going Destruction with Beast Claw. We don't have a Death player, but between Daughters of Cain and Ideneth, I know I'm getting another Order army. It's just which one do I get? I did not play Fallout Dust. I didn't play it on PC. I played my Fallout New Vegas on console. What do you think could you use the faster enclaves excluding battlesuits? Generally, breaches would probably do you all right because they're better at close range. So breaches might be a good troop option, like fish breaches. Pathfinder's always good because marker lights are always good. Beyond that, just sprinkles of flavor. 40k. Right, that makes sense. Yeah, I was gonna say. Right, now that I've done the painting, I'm not going to be going much longer. This stream's already nearly 3 hours, so I'm probably going to call it a night pretty damn soon. Do you like any of the Grand Battalions? The Vanguard one is pretty good. Like, I think you just get +1 to hit on all your missile weapons or something. Or reroll ones to hit, one of the two. Or no, is it an extra attack? I can't remember. It's something to do with an extra roll of 1 or +1. And I quite like it. It's flavorful because I don't know, it's alright. I don't know if they're like worth all the points that they cost to put on the table, but they're not bad. They're not bad, and they're thematics. Like, I'll probably build the Vanguard Chamber Battalion eventually. Like, I'm just like 1 unit of Raptors and then the 3 Flying Knights off doing it. Although I want to get the Paladors up to 3 units to make the most of it. So basically I just want another Blight War, in effect. Get another Blight War and then 3 Flying Knights, and I've done the chamber. As for the Extremis and the Warrior Chamber, I didn't look too hard because like I'm never gonna get 3 or 4 Star Drakes and stuff. As I flip a coin, I need to get the Ideneth book, read their lore, read their rules, so when the Ideneth book comes out, I'll be able to make a choice. So let me get the Ideneth book, and then if I can't make a choice, it might come down to a coin flip. Yeah, there is an Animaticus, it came out a couple of days ago, so absolutely have a look at that. Right idea with the Ideneth. You mean the waiting thing or the getting thing? Waiting, yeah. Just want to wait and see, have a read, and that sort of thing. Look around at what other people are getting between DOK and Ideneth and choose the opposite to what everyone else is beginning to be different. Things a lot of people have already gone straight in and bought Daughters, and now people who didn't do that are going straight in and getting Ideneth. They're not making the choice I'm making. So it's not people that didn't know really that Ideneth were going to be right around the corner, so went in on Cain, or have waited and are going in on Ideneth. It's not like me who are like, oh, which one do I get? Because I'm not getting them for several months. I can afford to wait. I want a synergy spell that's based on movement of the enemy. That would be an interesting one. I don't know how you'd balance it, like what you'd do, but it would be an interesting one. Oh, it's 10 to 11 and I'm getting tired. Didn't get much sleep last night for one reason or another, so not quite running on fumes. Bloody hell, best elves of the dead kind of thing. Yeah, keep talking. What happened to the Gloriana class? It just STCs are missing, or is it too expensive? Probably a mix of both. Like lack of partially it will be resources, partially it will be time. The time being one of the main resources involved, and manpower needed to crew it and be trained for it. And they may have lost the STC. I don't know. I'm not sure if the Gloriana STC was lost. Let's see a slash spell that alters foe's movement. Might work. I mean, there are effects that do that, like in Malign Portents, for example. There's an effect that does that, and it's brutal. Turkey. Don't know how old the point list I looked at, but seemed to be 15 points each in AOS. I can actually check that for you. The crashing is low by 6 and let me say only one mortal. The thing is, if you take like 5 inches off a cavalryman's move, like they did that with the Draco's cavalry in the battle report, it actually completely nerfs them into the floor. It's broken as hell. That's the rules again. Where's the General's Handbook? General's Handbook with? Where is my... Oh, it's there. Anyway, using it out. So. Chaos. Seekers are 24. 24 per model, 120 for 5. I think the Black Crusade will end. I think Gillen will be taken out, saving the Imperium. The thing is, if they're going to write the Primates back in, they have to be willing to keep them in. So, like, then writing them in to write them out would just be really kind of stupid. Like, if you're going to bring them back for good to stick. Don't just write them in to write them out 10 minutes later. How do you lose an STC? The Forge World it was stored on gets taken, as an example. Yeah, like think about Draco's Cavalry, move 10, half their move to 5, suddenly they can't do anything. Like, if you saw my battle report with Malign Portents, it completely neutered my cavalry. Utterly neutered them, broke them. They couldn't do anything. Is Poe unable to shoot or charge a certain model? Maybe. Maybe. Yeah, I'm going to go listen about 5 minutes and then I'm going to call it a night, I think, because we've pretty much passed 3 hours at this point. Hey, you never know. So yeah, if you've got any last questions, suggestions, ideas, throw them in now, and then once we've got through that little wave, we'll call it a night. Thinking of building Blood Angels, any tips of where to start? If you're kind of new to the game, get your basics first. So get some infantry, like tactical squads, get a commander, and then from there just go with your gut. So like what looks cool, I don't know what's viable for Blood Angels. Potential civil wars promise come out of the woodwork. Like if you were looking for a cure to the Emperor, should we expect him back? Never expect the Emperor. Don't bank on the Emperor ever being around again. If money no object would be a perfect time in 40k or AOS, I have no idea. Like a massive Orc War would be lovely, but then having a huge Order mixed alliance with Stormcast, Ideneth, Daughters of Cain, Fire Slayers, Caradron, Fire Slayers, maybe not Caradron. Just having a massive alliance of things would be awesome as well, I don't know. Which are the more fluffy abilities in 40k AOS? Like in AOS, the Keeper of Secrets has the Promise of Power, yeah. But you've got to be careful to like go between fluff and game balance. It's kind of got to be something you've got to balance up between power of the ability and theme of the ability. How about the move is higher than the bravery, deal mortals equal to the difference. So deal 7 mortal wounds or 8 mortal wounds to flying infantry. How does that sound? Deal 7 or 8 mortal wounds to flying infantry. Or maybe deal 5 mortal wounds to a Star Drake. Or maybe, I don't know, 2 mortal wounds to cavalry, or maybe more. Like, on flying models, that utterly destroys them. Like, that could be half a unit dead so quickly. And it's utterly useless on many things. That most infantry is like move 5 through 7 with a bravery of, again, 5 through 7. So it will do almost nothing against infantry. It will do utterly nothing. But then against flying infantry or cavalry or monsters, it could do some utterly broken stuff. Roscoe might be cool, but I think that Ragnar Blackmoon would be pushed out. Maybe. Maybe. The main models in AOS that you'd like to see make the jump to 40k. The problem is, it's like the themes are completely different between 40k and AOS. Trying to get something that fits both is actually very difficult, other than demons. So I don't know quite how well it would work to bring over your Archaons, your Nagashes, and the like. They wouldn't fit thematically. I just don't think they'd fit. But anyway, I think this should probably be about time for me to call it a night. So I do hope that you have enjoyed the stream. It's been an experience. We had technical difficulties earlier. We got those fixed, and I've got my 4,000 points of Stormcast finished, thanks to this guy. So thank you for coming out. It's always been fun. I'll probably be streaming later on in the week. I can't promise exactly when and where. Just between various different things, but I will be back, I'm sure. Make sure to tune in tomorrow for Adeptus Podcasted, which is out on the channel tomorrow morning. And if you missed Animaticus, go and have a look at that and all of that good stuff. So in the meantime, thank you guys for watching. This has been Tactica Imperialis, and yeah, I'll see you all again. Good night, folks.